Seoul Forest is one of the most beautiful places in South Korea. Lush trees, peaceful walking paths, and plenty of space to escape the busy city. But here's something you might not expect. For all its beauty, there are barely any trash cans around. Seriously, it took me about 20 minutes of wandering before I could find one with my dad. So while the park is stunning, you'll definitely want to keep this in mind if you want to visit, because carrying your trash for that long is no small task. Until I decided to create a robot that can detect when someone is holding trash and actually approach them, offering to take it off their hands.
Since most of the times I enjoy talking to my dad about my new and strange ideas, this idea also came out like that. What started as a frustrating experience in the park turned into a spark for a new idea. And I actually did a survey on people and I asked them if they think there's enough trash cans in Seoul Forest, and boasting 73.3% of people said there wasn't. This made me want to more do it.
Started out by making a 3D model of the robot in Fusion 360 CAD program.
Didn't take a lot of time because there was already a lot of 3D models out there that I could just take from, like the model of Raspberry Pi or battery, the wheels.
I used these mechanism wheels to provide better mobility. That way I don't need to hard code too much rotational movements. We have the ultrasonic sensors to detect how far stuff are. We have the camera and Raspberry Pi that will calculate all the visual information and turn it into detecting using AI. And we have the motor driver that controls all the 4 different motors more precisely. This is the fan that will cool down our Raspberry Pi. So I started out by assembling the robot parts that came in, the CNC parts, the metal parts came in, and this is the part I'm getting, the camera and the motor part on top of the robot. My initial idea was to code the AI part first and then move on to the ROS part, which is actually the part that moves the robot and controls the motors. So I started out by doing my research on YOLO and how to make a model that can detect trash in people's hands. Eventually, I wasn't able to find a model that has specific images of people holding trash in their hands. So I ended up actually making a robot detect peace signs in people's hands and went to training the YOLO model for it using the image. But unexpectedly, this part took me actually such a long time. Trying to train a model on Google Colab, watching YouTube videos. It did spit out a model. I did put it on my robot as a ONNX file.
I did run it on my robot and this is what it printed out. I think those were the coordinates of what was considered or looked as peace signs by the robot.
I was actually running out of time in Korea because I was about to leave in 2 weeks for Seattle, so I had to come up with a new way.
Because using this method would take me so long.
So I compensated and downgraded it to using OpenCV instead of YOLO. OpenCV is less performance and lighter, but it was easier to use. And I coded OpenCV on my robot and it did actually work. It did pick up peace signs. Now there was only final steps left, which is linking it to the actual movement of the robot and making the algorithm work. I was spending day and night coding and trying to learn how to code in ROS. I was running out of time. So I texted my friend in Korea to help me out with the ROS part because I realized he actually had some experience with it, and he did help me out and made the robot work. We were actively collaborating on the AI part and communicating to make it work, and eventually I tested this in the actual forest with my mom, and as you can see, it did work. And as you can see, I put a little shopping bag on top of the robot as a trash can, and as you can see again, the robot is moving and avoiding obstacles using the ultrasonic sensors.
So a few takeaways from this project for me would be compensate performance for deadlines and actually finishing the project instead of settling for trying to adopt perfectionism, because sometimes you're not going to have it all the time in the world. And secondly, I learned that collaboration isn't even that bad. I used to not like working with other people and asking for help because it hurt my ego, but after experiencing this, I think world is basically based on collaboration. There is no way you're going to know everything about the project you're doing and you're going to have every abilities that are needed. So at some point you're going to need collaboration and help from other people to save time and effort. And I really do think that project show possibilities of future engineering and advanced AI technique, and I hope to make impact with other projects in the future. Thank you.